having said that, the next thing, and you see, by any means, I'm not trying to say that these things are exhaustive. There are still so many things to be explaining between those, but I just want to give you guys a little tidbit, some things you need to know, starting off immediately. So, one of the things you also know, I always like to talk about it because, you see, I believe that every pro singer is also a very well-informed singer. You do not have, if you say someone is a pro in something, it means that he doesn't just only know how to do those things, but he also has a grasp on what I call the terminologies or the language of that profession, right? Music is a profession and it has its own languages, For the singing profession, let me put it that way, there are some certain things you need to know. You need to understand about your voice, and they are vast, But then, simple thing. For example, I've asked also about singing, and we'll move that on. But what are the if let me put it this way: if you're a guitarist, you need to know things like what is a fretboard, what is strings, what's a tuning peg, right? Yeah. The other knobs that you use to to set up your bass or your guitar to sound whichever way you want it. Yeah. Okay? You even need to know a little bit about your amplification instruments, things like your combo. Okay? For singers, what are the things you need to know? Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll start from example, your vocal cord. Okay? Your vocal cord. That, in my opinion, is where it starts. The sound production starts. Of course, it combines lots of different things to produce that sound. Your vocal cord is where your voice is, as I like to put jokingly, cooked. That's where you cook it and you try to deliver to your customers, or the world, your production or your cooked vocals. Okay? Now, but from what I just said, now you also realize what I'm also indirectly or have not said is that vocal cord is not necessarily all you need for your voice to happen or for the sound that you produce to happen. There are other things that must come together in that vocal cord, or there's some activity or action that must come together in that vocal cord to produce the sound. Okay, sound is produced when some things come together. Okay. By the way, we all learned this, I think, in our primary schools, and we talked about music. If they ask you about music, you say it's a combination of sounds to the ear, meaning that one of the characteristics of service is that it has to be pleasing. Yeah. Okay, and we've talked about that pleasing thing. Is, in my opinion, that is subjective because what may be pleasing to you may not be pleasing to me. Okay, but then another thing that most people do not pay attention to is the fact that it's a combination. So does that mean that one distinct sound cannot form music? Yes. What about you?
It can.
Another yes.
No, it can.
It can. A singular sound can be termed as music?
Yes, it can.
Okay, I'd like to study that in the future time. Okay. I'd like to study that and be sure about that. Because the classical definition we've always had since we were small in music is it's a combination of sound. Meaning that it can't be just one sound because you can't combine one sound. But like I said, we learn every day. I like to I like to know and understand that concept. But we're going to talk a little bit about sound, because now that's why I said I want us to discuss a little bit about this terminology, not just terminology, but this sound thing. So I always ask people, so what is this sound in itself? I don't want it to be too scholarly, in terms of your definition. Just simple. What do you understand by sound?
Why me?
What is sound to you? Or give me an example of sound. Oh, that is a sound. What is it? What is that sound? What is?
No, sound can be produced by both drums, animals, keyboard. Vocals can be produced by even clap. This is a sound.
Really? So give me a sound produced by an animal.
Like a bird.
And how can we use that in music?
So that's why we have different this is on the piano. We have different.
Don't worry, you're correct. I just want you to be sure of what you're saying. Yeah. I just want you to be sure what you're saying, okay? Okay, so what you in a layman's language, what you say is that sound, and this might sound funny to me, but sound is the sound that something creates.
I wanted to say that.
No, but please don't take that to the exam hall, okay? So that means that anything can create sound, right? Anything tangible or felt can create sound. For example, the wind has a sound, right? Yes. But you can't see the wind. You can feel the wind, but you can't see the wind. You probably may not be able to handle the wind, but you can hear the sound and you can feel the feel, right? So water can produce sound, right? Yes. I mean, that one is tangible a bit to some extent. So basically, everything in our atmosphere can create sound, right? Yes. So my question is this, from your definition earlier on about music, can I just take the and that be music?
No.
So that defeats exactly your definition. Except I can just blow air. And remember, it must not, other sounds must not because if I can create music from that. Yes. Okay? Yes. From tapping my feet, creating that distance.
You just only asked like definition of sound.
No, I was asking the definition of music.
Okay,
music. And music, from what we learned from schools or wherever we were at, the basic thing about music was that, the definition of music was that it's a combination of sound. And I'll ask a question. So, does it mean that one sound, because if you're saying combination, it has to be more than one. Okay, so that dispels your theory. So I don't need to go and research again to be sure that it's just one sound. So it has to be a combination of sounds for us to create music. So the question is this. What sound or what are you combining as a singer? We all agree here, right? Yeah. That one person can stand alone. Or maybe if you don't agree, tell me. One person can stand alone by him or herself and produce music from their voice. Yes or no?
Yes.
Now, please understand me. Let's go back to the definition of music. Combination of sounds. Melodious to the ear, right? Mm-hmm. So can one person stand on their own, just with their voice, not with their clap, with their stomping of feet, just with their voice, create music?
Yes, sir.
It's not a trick question. It's just a yes or no question.
Yes, sir.
It's possible.
Yes, sir.
How? Always remember the definition of music that you told me. Yes, or sound. Because if you tell me yes, then you have to be able to prove that. So how?
And that's because she's the person singing, he or she is not just singing a specific note.
Okay. Is that all you have to say? Okay, so it's not representing a single note. So
yeah.
Is it part-time in terms of
okay, let me use an example. Just like this song, like imagine you're singing a specific song, right? It's a melody, it's like you're creating a sound, but how do I put it? On a melodic way. I don't know how to put it, but let me just practicalize it. Something like, because he lives, I can face tomorrow because he lives.
Okay.
This is music, sir.
Okay. If you say so. And I have to agree with you because really, because he lives is many different notes to create those stuff. So, yes. Many different notes. So, yeah, that can work. But however, sound is not just limited to musical notes. There are some sounds that are not musical. I give you, or when I use, sorry, they are not, let me not say musical, that are not, I've forgotten what they call that are not necessarily tonal.
Okay.
You know, or you can say this particular sound and, you know, they may have depth, they may have pitches. I'll give you an example here. Does clap really have,
even the wind,
you know, a note? You understand? So there are some, but however, there are still sounds, and they can be combined to create music. So I don't want to talk too much about in terms of sounds and all that, because then we'll be talking about instrumental, rhythmic sounds and all of, or acoustic. What do they call these instruments? Like drums, like the congas and all of that. So, however, let's focus on sounds or sounds that are tonal, sounds that has notes, musical notes on them. And that is what your voice usually creates. Of course, that doesn't mean you can't still create other sounds like barking or meowing if it requires that. You understand what I'm saying? Can you laugh on notes as well?
Yes.
You can laugh on notes? Okay, that's something I would like to go and study as well to check out. So,
Okay,
so-
on notes, no.
okay,
I was
so
like, if you want to create a sound, you can actually laugh.
so
Like,
so
laugh can be a part
so
of the
what
sound.
so what you're saying that laugh cannot be tonal, cannot have pitch.
It can.
It can.
So
Yes.
if it can, then it should be tone,
be-
but it shouldn't. Ha 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 ha. What key is that?
Sharp.
Ha 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 ha. So if you check it, maybe on the queue.
Okay, I don't have the time for that. Well, but maybe you could research and we'll see how that goes. So.